Welcome, everybody. Welcome. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody. Sound check, sound check. Good evening, Kelly, Miss Potts. Sound check, sound check. Sound check, sound check. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Thank you, Amy D. We got a good live coming on for tonight. I've got a bit of an echo. Okay, let me turn this down a little bit then. Okay, how about now? Good evening, Sight Kite. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Do you still hear the echo? All right. We've got Sight Kite, Miss Potts, Amy D, Kelly. All right. Okay, we're gonna wait maybe about another 2 minutes, and then we'll get started. Welcome, Millen. I've been watching all your lives but haven't chatted. Can't wait for tonight's live. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Welcome, Millen. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it tonight. We're gonna go ahead, get down to business because we've got some stuff we've got to cover. Time is running out. Time is running out. All right. Welcome, Brenda. I'm gonna go ahead and change my screen and get ready for my first point while we give a couple more people a chance to come in. All right. Millen said she can't wait. All right. Let's see. Let's get the show on the road. Let's get the show on the road. All right. Becky Schroeder, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right, we're going to talk about several things tonight. So I want to go ahead and get started because we have a lot of ground to cover and I don't want to keep you too late. All right, and so I want to start with the last thing on my title, which is how did Brian Kohberger become a suspect? All right, we got David Stamler. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. American Princess, welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for coming out. Thank you so much for helping to meet the milestone. The channel is growing Thank you so much for all that you've done. Thank you so much for all of the support, all the suggestions. Everything has just been wonderful. I'm so in awe of how far we've come in such a short period of time. All right, all right. Now, you should be able to see your screen, and we're going to start here and work backwards. And the first thing I want to talk about is how Brian Kohberger became a suspect. Okay, if you look at the screen in the PCA, I'm going to read this one more time. It says, on November 25th, 2022, MPD asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras in the area. On November 29th at approximately 12:28 a.m. So this is on November 29th, okay? Not at midnight going into the 30th. This happened first thing in the morning on November 29th. WSU police officer Tiengo queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of the query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate. This vehicle was registered to Brian Kohberger, hereafter Kohberger, residing on Valley Road, blah, 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 approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection of Stadium Way and Cougar Way. The last camera location that picked up the white Elantra. Okay, so right off the bat, we're seeing that they're relying on surveillance that they got in, in Moscow, surveillance that they asked for. The last camera location picked up on the Elantra means that by November 29th, they've looked at the footage of the neighborhood, and they've looked at the footage over in Pullman. Okay, we have to assume that because November 29th, if the last camera location that picked up Elantra in Pullman, that means they're telling us they've already seen the footage by November the 29th. Even though they didn't put out a press release until December the 7th with a picture of a stock photo of Brian Kohberger's car, here it is on the 29th. They're talking about camera locations. Okay? And then also look at this was published on November the 29th, the same day that they say they found they ran up on Brian Kohberger's car twice. All right? And later on in the PCA, if you keep reading down these paragraphs, it says that once they found his car through WSU police, they matched his description with his eyebrows to what Dylan Mortensen said. That's what the PCA said. Okay, so on November 29th, they got his car through two different sources, and when they ran it and discovered it was him, they noticed his eyebrows matched Dylan's description. But here, Brian Enton is saying, on that same day, he wrapped up an in-depth interview with police and the prosecutor in Moscow, both the police and the prosecutor, and both made it clear there are no persons of interest identified in the University of Idaho killings, and they say they don't have a name that they are not revealing. This was published the same day as in the PCA, the same day they supposedly found his car through two WSU police officers. All right? All right. Hello, Leslie. Welcome, Leslie Vasquez. They didn't look too hard if they didn't see Demetrius' car. Okay, right now, I want to stay with the facts. I want to stay with the facts of what the PCA is saying and what this interview Brian conducted said. I don't want to talk about Demetrius or Emma or either one of them right now. The only thing I'm speaking about right now is how the PCA says they came across Brian Kohberger's car. Nobody else's car but Brian Kohberger's. And then this interview from Brian Enton It's saying no one was a suspect on November 29th, as late as 5:52 in the evening. And then somebody else noticed the same discrepancy that I'm talking about right now. And I'm going to pull her name up. All right, Angela Palimo obviously saw the same problem here that I saw. And she said, okay, the Idaho State Police were contradicted in the prosecuting attorney's office regarding the conflicting statements, and was told Thompson is no longer giving interviews. Said we can expect a press release later today with more information about who, what was targeted. And this was on November the 30th, the same day that the Papa Rogers tweet about the knife sheath came out. The same day that this came out, saying that Bill Thompson was contradicting himself on the 29th in his interview, which he was. He said there was no suspect and no surprise suspect, nobody that they were hiding. It was nobody. But in the PCA, it says they came up on him about 1 o'clock that morning. And when they came up on him, they looked and said, hey, this guy matches Diem's profile of bushy eyebrows. Okay? But according to Brian Enton, the police and the prosecutor's office both said there was no suspect as of the 29th. So how did they get Brian Kohberger's information? Because they didn't get it on the 29th. It's not true. There was no press release between November 29th and December 7th saying that they had a suspect, that they had found a car that was suspect. Nothing. Nothing at all. All right, hello, Leslie, that's me. I think Papa Rogers is retired FBI or detective or active FBI or detective. Shout out to Leslie, that's me. Or still active. They don't have to be retired. We're going to get to that. Who in the world? I mean, they're contradicting each other early on. Early on. The prosecutor and the police said no suspect. But in the PCA, it says that he became a suspect in the wee hours of the morning on November 29th. Okay? Busted flush. Emma's eyebrows are bushier than Brian. So was the kid's eyebrows in the Banfield body cam. Shout out to Busted Flush. So long as we understand that there's a discrepancy there and that Brian Kohberger, 9 times out of 10, was not on the radar until December. Leslie Vasquez, shoot, I think Dylan has bushy eyebrows. Shout out to Leslie. Leslie V, we have more than one. Shout out to Leslie V. All right, I'm going to see what you're saying in just a minute. Because I mean, we couldn't even get a straight story back in November. We couldn't get a straight story. All right? Miss Potts, could they have got the tip for the car, and when they checked the sale records, his number didn't show in the area, so they ignored the tip? No, Miss Potts, because the police themselves said in the PCA, I just didn't screenshot all of it. They said once they came upon his car, they noticed he had eyebrows that go along with Dylan's description. Shout out to Miss Potts. That's a great question. And it would be okay if if they hadn't said that. But they're claiming that they had his phone number from a previous traffic stop. All they had to do was look up his name, which they said they did in the PCA. It says in the PCA they looked up his name. So they would have known they had his phone number already from a traffic stop. All right, Kay is in the house. Yes, that dude at Banfield was suspect. Shout out to Kay. All right, so we know that Brian Kohberger did not become a suspect, or at least he wasn't on the radar as a suspect until December. That's the only thing that makes sense. And Papa Rogers looks more and more like a policeman to me every day. Sight kite. I don't count on any of Dylan's testimony. Was she coached with platitudes? Shout out to Sight Kite because we know she was coached. Some of that stuff she wouldn't even know to say unless somebody put it in her mouth. And I don't believe she saw any of it. Not one piece of it do I believe she saw. I don't believe she was in the house at 4 o'clock. She wasn't asleep and she wasn't in the house. She was gone. I don't believe Dylan was in the house at 4 o'clock, period. I don't think anybody was alive at 4 o'clock, and I definitely don't believe Dylan was in the house. All right, we got Audrey Cakes in the house. Shout out to Audrey Cakes. All right, so this is not making sense, and it's just, I'm going to move on because we need to stay on schedule. You all bringing up some great points. And so now I want to talk about something that JLR brought up. He's doing pretty good lately. Okay? I want to bring up something that JLR brought up in one of his videos this week. All right? Everybody doing all right? Audrey Case. I mean, it's what FBI does, and they make it so obvious. We're getting to it. We're getting to it. We're getting ready to get to it right now. All right? Now, this week, JLR, he brought up that before they erased Brian's Snapchat, he was able to grab some contacts, some people that he was following, right? And one of those people was Ryan Hubschmidt. I'm just going to say Ryan. I don't want to just, totally expose this man. But, I mean, he's already exposed on YouTube as having had Brian follow him. And then for some reason, he didn't want to own up to the fact that Brian was following him. He was aware of it and didn't want to own up to it. All right? And so, thank you, Audrey. It's party time. That's right. Ray Ann P in the house. Shout out to Ray Ann P. All right. Shout out. Yep. That's right. Okay, so this guy, Ryan, and Opie, and Brent Kohberger all have something in common. Okay? When I saw this guy, the firefighter, the first thing that came to my mind was there's a theme going here. Okay? Military veterans. Okay? Heroes. First responders. We got a theme going here. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but we've got a theme going here. We've got first responders. We've got military veterans, because Ryan is I believe he was in the Air Force, USAF. He's an Air Force veteran, a fireman, but also a veteran. Kohberger, also a veteran. Opie, also a veteran. We got military theme here. Leslie Vasquez. This is the first time I'm hearing about Ryan. Shout out to JLR. Let me give him a shout out right quick, because he put out some good stuff this week. Some of it is a little wild and crazy and just really ridiculous, downright ridiculous. But shout out to JLR, because he did a great job this week. And this Ryan guy, I got that from JLR. Okay, I'm putting it in the chat. Let me give him credit, because he's the one. Exactly, Amy D. Shout out to Amy D. He's all of them are veterans. There's a pattern here. And then I'm going to go a little deeper, because everybody say I'm biased, and every time I speak, it's on Brian Kohberger's side. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm on the victim's side. I want whoever did this to be convicted. And if Brian Kohberger didn't do it, I want him to leave his family alone, because now we have 5 victims and 5 victims' families. All right, Miss Potts, maybe BK was following these cats on Instagram because he was doing recon work on some crooked individuals. Hold that thought, Miss Potts. You get ready to it's a spoiler. This is a spoiler. Shout out to Miss Potts again. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a brain. I'm going to give you a brain for that, because you right on the street that I'm coming down right now. And it's making more and more sense the more I think about it, because when I saw this guy, I said, another military person? Another one? Okay. And then he was scrolling down this guy's Twitter. Okay. First of all, let me put this up here for those of you that's saying, what is she talking about? So what? They're veterans. Okay. Well, this is very important, because first of all, the weapon, the murder weapon, or at least one of them, is supposed to be what? Type it in the chat. What is the murder weapon? What is the murder weapon? And put a pin in what Miss Potts said about doing recon, because he could just simply be doing research. We know he loves it, right? We know he loves it. Research. Brian Kohberger loves research, right? I'm dropping it. I'm dropping it. I'm dropping it. Shout out to Kelly and Amy D. Amy D said K-Bar. That's right. All right. Shout out to Amy, Leslie, V, and Audrey. All right. Because our weapon is a military weapon. Our supposed murder weapon is a military weapon. All right, so who's writing this script? This crime, who's writing this script? Because our murder weapon is a military knife. They bought it in a Marine or someone who trained with Marines. These veterans are special ops too. Ray Ann P. K-Bar knife. Shout out to Ray Ann. I didn't see you. Okay. Who's writing this script for this murder weapon to just... Okay, we talk about college kids got murdered. We're saying college kids probably involved, frat, sorority, another college student in Washington, Brian Kohberger. So where's this military stuff? Where did this military knife come from? If all of this is between students, where did all of this come from? All right. Shout out to Ray Ann and Liz Ann. We got 2 Anns. Shout out to the Anns. All right. Where is this? Where did this military knife come from? Because whoever left that knife there, they knew that everybody would be talking about is a military knife from then on out. And that's exactly what we're doing. K-bar knife, K-bar knife, K-bar knife. We don't even know if a K-bar knife was the murder weapon. We're just going off some fool left a sheath. It probably doesn't match the weapons used, Miss Potts. But they put the sheath in it, so we forced to say military knife. Now I'm getting ready to drop something else on you about these three. Because we got three veterans here. Kohberger, Payne, and Hubschmidt. We got three veterans here. So I need to make this knife a little bigger. So you get the message that I'm trying to give you. We got three veterans here, all associated with Brian Kohberger. Ray Ann Potts. I don't see how students are going to routinely have a weapon like that. Agreed. Only what's his name? Only the Africa one. Showalter. Only Jack Showalter is the only one. Is the only student. Liz Ann. Who said that? Ray Ann. I don't see how students. Shout out to Ray Ann Potts. You get a brain. Ray Ann P. My bad. I'm calling you Ray Ann Potts. I'm going to give you a brain for that. Because you deserve it. Okay, what students are worried about having a Rambo knife? All right, in 2023. Students are worried about one thing only. And that's all students, even from elementary to grad school. These students are only worried about one thing, the internet. That's the only thing they worry about, the internet and social media. They care less about a knife. All right, their worst nightmare is being selective service, going to the military. That's their worst nightmare. A student is not worried about having a knife like that. Jack Showalter is the only one that will have a knife like that. And I think they knew it. Now, I need to drop another bomb on you about this same guy. Now, this is something on the other end of the coin. For all my people who believe Brian Kohberger is guilty as sin, and you just waiting for the bomb to drop on him, for all my people like that, here's one for you. Okay, let me find my picture first. Okay, here's something I'm going to drop on you about this same revelation I got from jail. All right, shout out to jail. Because he wanted to know why Brian Kohberger would be following Ryan. Right? So here's a possibility. Give me a minute. I'm having a little issue here getting it on the screen. But I'm going to see if you can handle this right here. And I'm going to see what you say in the chat. I want to hear you. I want to see you in the chat. All right? Now, who knows what most murderers start out doing? What do most murderers start out doing before they actually kill people? Somebody tell me. What's the first thing a lot of murderers do before they kill people? I wonder if Hunter John. Oh, shout out to Agape Love. Oh, Agape Love is in the house. Shout out. Did I put that in? Oh. Shout out to Agape Love. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, who said that? Leslie Vasquez gets a brain. All right. All right, Leslie. A lot of murderers start with arson. They don't just start with animal mutilation. And so when I saw that this guy's a fireman, I was like, now, I hope he doesn't have some kind of affinity to arson, because that's what a lot of murderers, that's where they start, is with fire. Ray A.P. Brian couldn't even keep a job filleting fish at a younger age, and now he's accused of skinning an animal. That's true, Ray Ann. And plus, he's a vegetarian. So I don't think he would be fooling with a skinning a dog. I don't think he would want to see that. All right, Miss Potts, this looks like the scene from that final Halloween movie when they burn up Michael Myers in the house. Oh, I missed that. But I tell you, a lot of murderers do start with fire. All right, so we got a fireman that's retired military. We got a lead detective that's former military. And we got Brett Kopaka, who we're not allowed to know what his occupation was at the time of his death, who was also prior military. So if I see one more person in the military or a veteran associated with this case, we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. That fire looks like the movie Carrie, too, Agape Love. That's right. A lot of murderers start with arson. They start with animal mutilation and arson, some of them. And once they burn up something and the person dies in the fire, and then they go from that to just killing the person. All right? So we have to be careful. This guy Ryan has a lot of pictures of putting out fires on his website. So I hope that's not why Brian was following him. That's the only point I wanted to make with that. All right, so let's move on. I want to talk about the 2 a.m., the 3 a.m., the motive, and why these guys would be involved. Let me take this off. Now, okay, let me find my little thing I had first. Okay, it's going to be a second because I have to change my screen, and then I'll see what you guys are saying. I want to go back to this. Shout out to JLR for doing such a great job last week. He had some really interesting stuff going. He read a lot of stuff from the court. I was so happy to see him on that energy right there. All right, so let me get this up on the screen. And then I thought I had it. All right, there it is. Now let's go back to this, because I had a lot of comments on this one from the last video. And so I had a lot of comments on this. Okay, did we ever get confirmation that BK knew Brent K, Leslie Vasquez? No, we did not. At least I didn't. I don't feel like I did, because nobody told me. All right, Robin Latham in the house. Shout out to Robin Latham. We almost didn't get started until you got here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out to Robin. Okay, where was I? Okay, I'm waiting for the screen to put my picture up. All right, so now look at this. This is Nick Rabus. He wrote this on November 23rd. It says, I just found out my remote photography group has video from a tripod that was stationed behind the house. It recorded from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. and shows a woman running from the side of the house as a truck entered the driveway. She ran away from the house and right by our tripod at approximately 2 a.m. A group member removed the tripod, and I don't know who has the video. It is the group's right to not disclose while we record, but we would send in recordings in special circumstances. Okay, now he didn't post this anonymously. He posted this with his real name from an authentic University of Idaho account. All right, so he wasn't calling in anonymously to YouTube. He wasn't somewhere trying to give some information on the slide and maybe get some props or some money. He posted this in his real name from an authentic account. So I have to respect this post because this man came out November 23rd. He had no reason to lie or put something like this there if it wasn't true and under his real name. All right? So, Leslie, that's me. Maybe those military guys responded to Brian's questionnaire about how they felt killing people. At least one of them could have. He might have made it for all first responders. For all we know, maybe that's who it was designed for. Shout out to Leslie, that's me. Hello, hello. Welcome, Jennifer S. Welcome, Jennifer S. Shout out to Leslie, that's me. Good to see you, good to see you. All right. Extra interesting show tonight. Please let's not forget to give our lovely lady a like. Thank you, Ray and P. You know, I will take a second and say thank you for all of the likes, all of the sharing. I mean, I can't complain. I have the greatest subscribers in the world. We have the greatest community. Okay, it's stress-free. I enjoy myself every time. Okay, and so I appreciate that. I appreciate that, and thank you so much, Ray and P, for reminding everybody. Yes, the likes, I've learned, they make more people watch your videos, get to see it with the likes. Yeah, so we need that. Okay? Shout out to Ray Ann for looking out. Okay. So, where were we? Oh, so look at Taylor Gauthier's reply. He said, then call the police and give them your information. This is what Taylor Gauthier said. And then Nick responded, group member reported the video was sent to Idaho State Police. Our group has been removed from Facebook for various policy violations. Okay, so not only did they have a tripod set up, they had a Facebook page. And the police had the video. So how can police have a video of somebody running out the house 2 o'clock in the morning? How can they have that video and then have somebody sitting in jail, all right, for killing somebody at 4:15? What's going on? How can police have the video? How can Idaho State Police had a video with a girl running out of the house at 2 o'clock in the morning? Oh, y'all so sweet. We love our teach. We appreciate you. He might be working for anti-sex trafficking operations. Kathy Miles in the house. Thank you, Robin, Miss Potts. Leslie, that's me. Great show tonight. I'm listening with my headphones while I walk my dog. Okay, you be careful out walking your dog. You be mindful of your surroundings, even though you're listening to the show. Much love. All right. Back to Carly Miles. Carly, shout out to Carly. Carly said he might be working for anti-sex trafficking operations. You know, that sex trafficking, putting your picture up on the OnlyFans and stuff. A lot of girls are doing that in college. Okay, Agape Love said many Fed agents came out of Pennsylvania. That's true too. Okay, shout out to Agape. You get a point. You get a shout out for that. A lot of the feds came from Pennsylvania. All right, even giving it to Ashley Banfield would have been better. Okay, Leslie. If ISP has the video, so does AT. Maybe that's the exculpatory evidence. Miss Potts, another brain. Okay, Miss Potts, that's another brain. How could these people have a video of a female running out of that house, which had to be Dylan or Bethany at 2 o'clock in the morning, and yet they got this man in custody? And they got the video of somebody running, and they got the video of a black truck, but they showing us a white car. How can that be? How can that be? Robin Latham, that was supposedly debunked so fast, it has always made me wonder why. I don't feel it's debunked because it put it out there in its real name. I don't believe it's debunked. I'm bringing it back and I'm saying it's not debunked for the simple fact that he put it out there in his real name. And because it was November the 23rd, this would be about the time that they got the tripod and realized what evidence they had on the tripod, and then trying to decide what to do with it. That'll be right about around the 23rd, because so everything happened so fast the first week. The first week, 7 days, that's the 20th. Everything happened so fast and was so mind-boggling. But around the 23rd, that's just about the time that they would discover that they had the evidence on the tripod. They probably didn't even know they had it. Wouldn't it have recorded other activity besides the one girl running? Well, Liz, that's a good question because they're reporting a lot. Jennifer S. Oh, Lord, don't get me started on Banfield. You know, it seemed like she's changing her stripes as far as the case. She's starting to think it's too much baloney. Even Banfield. You know, I give it another week or two before the media switch out on MPD and start sympathizing with Kohberger. I give them about 2 weeks and the media gonna flip-flop and start sympathizing with the Kohbergers. Watch what I tell you. The media get ready to flip-flop quick. But back to Liz Ann, yes, other things were reported. They reported a truck. He reported a truck in the driveway. And probably was other stuff on there. But, you know, he's saying, I need to put this out here and make sure that tape gets to the police. Because if I don't put it on Front Street and put it on blast, it won't be accounted for. It might end up in the trash. That's right. The video allegedly recorded a truck pulling the driveway too, and then a few minutes later, the blonde is seen running past the tripod. Banfield body cam truck, perhaps. And we saw the truck. Another reason I don't say it's debunked is because we saw a truck leaving, a black truck leaving at 3 o'clock on Taylor Avenue. We actually saw the truck that he's talking about in the post. So how can it not be true? We saw the truck. We sat here and saw the truck leaving on Taylor Avenue at 3 o'clock. We saw this ourselves. So how can it be debunked? And we saw the truck. We saw the truck. Leslie, that's me. And my psychic reading, they were adamant everything started at 2. I saw Zena and Ethan being attacked before Haley and Maddie got home. It's, I don't do the psychic thing. Please don't go saying the hard truth is a psychic channel, because that's not true at all. I believe to each his own, okay? I don't partake in psychic readings, but I'm not a psychic basher either. I mean, different people have different gifts. It's not for me to say where they came from. Okay, so if somebody else said that they saw the psychic saw the white package, the white box being carried on the body cam. I read that in the comments. So this is not the first time I heard somebody say that a psychic reading lined up with 2 o'clock. This is not the first time that I heard it. And then a lot of these clips, the black truck is cut out of the body cam. That's another reason I know it's not, that Nick Rabus is not lying. He's not lying. We saw the truck. Agape Love. Check that truck out. Ground and frame, then compare it to the other black truck. We need to. No, that's not my understanding of what debunk means. My understanding, Carly, is that debunk means it was proven not to be true. That's what my understanding of debunked is. All right, so let's look this up. All right, debunk means expose the falseness or hollowness of. And that's the Webster Dictionary. No, that's Oxford. I'm sorry. The Oxford Dictionary says debunk means to expose the falseness or hollowness of. So it's the opposite of that, okay? And thank goodness, I wish that was. Okay, the white box, Leslie Vasquez. In the Banfield body cam, when you see the 4 young men running in the background, the second one is carrying a white box or a white package. How do they have this video? How do they have this video of this girl running at 2 o'clock? But they still got somebody in custody saying the crime happened after 4:04. After. Because according to the PCA, whoever was driving that white car was still driving at 4:04. Oh, she's being sarcastic, hard truth. Well, now you tell me, Robin. You let me go and look up words. And you see how you do. See how you do. You let me go. Open up the dictionary. You wouldn't even tell me. You wouldn't even tell me, Robin. Okay, but I'm going to forgive you. All right? I'm going to forgive you this time. Because we have to forgive each other. So I forgive Robin and Leslie Vasquez for not telling me before I went to open the dictionary that she was just joking. Y'all did me like this in the last live too, I noticed. Okay? All right, Leslie, that's me. I bet you Dylan's boyfriend in the big black truck drove it by. As soon as she saw the truck, she ran out. That camera has to have screams and yells and fighting on it too. Well, not necessarily, because if it was just a camera taking pictures, it might not have any audio. They said it was a camera on a tripod, but it said photography camera. So if it was just a photography camera, it didn't have audio. I know one thing, somebody wanted everybody to know what was going on because we got a body cam video from the cops of the whole area. And then we got pictures from a tripod from the back. It seemed like somebody just wanted everybody to know. Something is not right. Right. Okay, I understood that much, Robin. I got that point. Okay. Y'all know I take stuff too seriously, and you let me look up the dictionary. All right. I thought Dylan's boyfriend had a car, not a truck. All I know is that black truck is all over Moscow in the videos. That truck is in a lot of Dr. Thrifty videos too. If you look at some old Dr. Thrifty videos, that black truck is in them. Ann Ruler in the house. Shout out to Annie. All right, we got Annie Ruler. Do we have Annie Potts? Shout out to Annie. Do we have both of the Annies? There are pics of them standing by a big black truck before 11:13. It is. It is. But that truck is it's all over Moscow. Shout out to Dr. Thrifty. That's right. Let me give him a shout out. Because he did some excellent work before he was off and then he was back on, far as I know. But he did some interesting work. And so if you look at some old Dr. Thrifty videos, you'll see that black truck. You'll see the white truck and the black truck. Oh, they're both here. We got Annie Ruler and Annie Potts. We got the twins. Shout out to the twins. We got both of them. All right. Quinn claims to never have been in Moscow. Some commenter said that it was known he was in town. I cannot confirm, though, is the black truck and depicts her father's, and that was Annie Ruler. Right. We have not really been digging into Quinn and Dylan like we should, but we will be because Leslie, that's me. Yeah, I'm not a psychic reader. I don't do tarot cards, but I have a gift from God. He even told me not to get the vaccine. All right, shout out to Leslie, that's me. Hey, everybody's welcome here. And a lot of people do have a gift of prophecy where they can see stuff and decide and spirit of discernment. I mean, everybody has it to a certain degree, and then some people have a sharp, developed gift of discernment. A lot of people do. So shout out to Leslie, that's me. I'm not doubting you at all, because even if it didn't line up with what I'm saying, people do have those gifts. People do have those gifts, and so I'm not judging psychics out there. Please don't say that I got on here bashing psychics. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying I don't participate in psychic readings with tarot cards. I don't. Okay, I got enough going on in my life. Okay, I'm just scared to death to do that. When I was younger, we read in the Bible where King Saul ran to the psychic when he was losing everything, and the psychic was scared that that he came to a house. Ever since I read that when I was a little girl, I was scared to go to psychics, and I've been like that ever since. When I was a little girl, we had to go to church all the time. I was reading about David and Saul, because that's my favorite story in the Bible, is David and Saul. And when I saw her, Saul went to the Sioux cell or whatever they called her, and she was scared that he came to her. But she called up Samuel for him. She did it. And I was like, I was scared of the whole thing. After I read that, I just didn't want to be bothered with psychics and tarot cards and stuff. From a little girl, I just couldn't do it. But anyway, back to the to the business at hand. I'm just ranting and going all off the topic, but that's where I am with it. Okay? Jennifer S. I'm still waiting on a picture of Kopaka's work badge or staff directory info to prove he worked IT or security. People running all over the place with Kopaka. I just need receipts. It's odd, I agree. And I agree. Shout out to Jennifer S. I've been begging for proof of Kopaka's job for 3 weeks. For somebody, I've all but disproved that he worked for WSU. But I don't have anything to confirm. I don't have not one receipt to say he worked for University of Idaho and not one receipt to say he was IT. Only thing I can produce receipts for is that he did work for WSU. He just lived in Pullman. Now that I could pretty much prove. I would have to go digging in my stuff, but I could. All right? But I would love to know where he worked, because that would nip a lot in the bud. Robin Latham, how can he claim never to have been in Moscow when his girlfriend there? He's full of it. Agreed. Shout out to Robin, because that's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. To say you never been to a city and your girlfriend is going to school there and there's more women there besides her. That's a perfect excuse for you to come down there, and when you leave her, you can scope out other females because it's a college campus. So stop with that. Shout out to Robin. Okay, lies are not alibis. Carly Miles. Leslie, that's me. Yeah, I guess I just assume it was a video camera. If a camera set up on a tripod, that means somebody has to actually be behind the lens to take the picture. But he said photography. That makes the difference. Because a photography group would have cameras, like 35 millimeter cameras set up. All right? It wouldn't necessarily be a video camera, is what I'm saying. He said photography group. And that really gave me the impression that this was cameras. You know, not video cameras, old school 35 millimeter cameras. Photography group. Okay? That's an old school media group right there. But, a photography group could just mean these cameras right here. You're not going to have any audio. You don't have any motion too much. You're just taking multiple pictures. And so he might have 6 or 7 pictures of a girl on 6 or 7 different frames headed out of the house with no audio. Allegedly, the video recorded for 12 full hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Yes, but it didn't say video recorder. It doesn't say video. Yeah, it does says video. I apologize. It does say video from a tripod. Okay, so I would think they would have audio. I would think that if it's video, it would have audio. That just made sense to me. And then if it's supposed to be a screams here and there, the dog's supposed to be barking, it should be on this same video from 8 to 8. That video right there should solve the crime. If there was a video set up behind that house from 8 to 8 running in the dark from midnight to 4 in the morning, that video should solve the crime. Who said that the video is probably the exculpatory evidence? Who said that? Because that goes with Bethany too. Remember, they subpoenaed Bethany. And 9 times out of 10, Bethany was the one running out of the house. So maybe this tripod video is the exculpatory evidence. Maybe the defense already has a copy of the video from Nick Rabus's group. And they just wanted to confirm that Bethany was running out the house. I'm put that in the chat. All right, so that could all go together. Okay, who said that? That was me, Teach. Miss Potts, what did I do? What did I miss? Oh, allegedly the video recorded from 12 full hours from 8 to 8. That was Miss Potts. And then Bonbon. All right, shout out to Bonbon. Oh, I love that name. It reminds me of those little chocolate with ice cream in it. Shout out to Bonbon. Okay, so let's see. Bethany running out of the house, exculpatory evidence. That's my post. Then you would think they would actually know who the real killer is if it existed. I never heard this. I must be slow. No. They probably do know who the real killer is. I'm getting to that next. As a matter of fact, let's move on to that. I'm going to change my screen right quick. Okay, shout out to Bonbon. That was a great point, and now that leads us to this one. Because somebody's got that tape. Somebody's got that tape of somebody running out of that house. Somebody's got that tape. Probably a lot of people have it. Yes, I've always been a Christian myself. Leslie, that's me. Raised Roman Catholic with all the pomp and circumstances. I believe in Jesus and his ability to guide us when we ask. And I believe in Jesus Christ too. That's where I stand. All right. I believe in Jesus Christ as my Savior. That's where I stand. All right. Shout out to Leslie. That's me. We're on the same page with that. We're on the same page with that. Yeah, Miss Potts is the valedictorian of our class. Yeah, she's sharp now. But I got a lot of sharp ones in here. Some of y'all sharp, but you're not speaking up. Just listening. But we need everybody's brain in here. So don't hold out on us. If you have a great idea or even a small one, give it to us. All right, give it to us. Carly Miles, I heard it was university placed and removed. Their right to private situations. And that sounds just about right. And that's kind of what he said. He said at the end of the, that's what he said at the end of his post. I took it down. He said we have the right to give this video out or not. But I think he's saying this needs to be out. Somebody needs to know about this. So let me publicize it so people will know that it's out here. I think that's why Nick did that. Because if he hadn't, we wouldn't even know about it. All right, the only way you get a fabricated timeline, possibly planted evidence and fabricated witness statements, or if your lead detective is involved or told to cover it up. Shout out to Miss Potts again. Y'all look at the screen. I'm already there. Shout out to Potts because it's the truth, and this is where we're going right now. This is where we're going right now. Look at the screen. Now, there's only 3 reasons for the police to cover up this crime or any other murder. The first scenario is that the police actually committed the murders. They're covering up their own deeds. That's the green. That's the green option, the first one. The second option is the police know who committed the murders. It wasn't them, but they know who committed the murders, and they're covering up for who did it for whatever reason. That's option number 2, and that is in the orange circle. Now, option number 3 is law enforcement has no idea who committed the murders. They just got a bunch of stories and tips from a lot of different people, but they really don't know who did it. But they're covering up, they're framing somebody because they need to close the case. Okay, the green one is the police did it. They're covering up for themselves. The orange, the police know who did it. They didn't do it, but they know who did it. They might be related to who did it, or for some political reason, they're covering up who did it, but they know who did it and they're covering it up. The blue, the last option, is who committed the case. They don't know who did it, but they had to close the case. Now, all right, Leslie Vasquez. Shout out to Leslie. That's a great point. Let's stop right here for a minute and put a pin in it. That's a great question. Why was the tripod there? Now, it's one big word, and it's another recurring theme, just like the veterans and the K-bar knife. Here's another recurring theme, Leslie. This is why it was there. Now, the photography club chose that spot for a reason. They chose that spot for a reason. Now, whether somebody knew something was going to go down or not, I have no idea. But that's a very weird place to have a camera. In the woods, in the middle of a little neighborhood like that. That's a weird place to have a camera. Now, if research was the reason that the camera was there, we can link that to Kohberger. We can link that to Kohberger. Can't we? Jesse Branch. Shout out to Jesse. Jesse Branch. Casper West shows photo. Bethany Funk with 3 other girls flipping off, posted 30 minutes after murder. 4 girls flipping off, 4 people dead. Yes, I saw that. And I believe the timestamps. I don't care who's disputing these timestamps. The timestamps were there before the murders, before anybody knew that anything needed to be tampered with. So I believe the timestamps, the original timestamps on this information. That's a weird place to put a camera. Spying. Who said spying? Agape Love. Shout out to Agape Love. Spying is another good reason to have a camera behind that house. Spying. So we got research. We got spying. Anybody else? Shout out to Sight Kite. That's exactly what I said. Somebody must have really wanted this known. We got body cams. We got videos behind the house. We got social media posts and stuff. I mean, it's all data. It's all data. I mean, you're exactly right. That's my sentiment exactly. It seems like too much of an incident. Just Amber in the house. That's what I'm talking about. Too much of a coincidence. It's set up everywhere. We got a body cam in Banfield showing us everything. Showing us everything. If it was any closer, it'd be on the street right there in front of the house. Then we got a camera in the back of the house. I heard initially that the club was for astrology or something. That could be. That good could be. We need to investigate Nick Rabus and see what I was trying to look around and see a little bit more about him and the club, but I started late, and so I probably won't be able to give that type of information until the next live. But what I do know is that man did not post that under his own name using his authentic university account. If it was a lie, I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. If the original Reddit account next AM is true and masked men were in the bushes when the girls brought Murphy out, the tripod, if actually set up for sure, caught masked men ambushing the house. It's got to be on there. Leaving. And we saw the truck leaving at 3. We saw the guys leaving at 3:12. People were leaving. People were leaving. I mean, that's just the truth. People were leaving at 3 o'clock, just like he said on the post. Now, this is what I want you all to do. I want you to tell me which one of these you feel is the case. It's almost like voting, but it's not. Look on the screen and type the color of the one you agree with. If you believe that the police committed these murders, put green. Type green in the chat. If you believe the police didn't do it, but they know who did it and they're covering for them, type orange. And then if you believe the police have no idea who committed it and they just got Brian to close the case, type blue. If you believe the police did it, type green. If you believe the police know who did it and they're covering for them, type orange. If you believe the police have no idea who did it, but they had to close the case, it's type blue. Mark B and Paula Harvey in the house. Shout out to Mark B and Paula. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, we got Elwin W. Shout out to Elwin. I see a lot of orange and green. All right, so far I see a lot of orange. I see a blue. I see one blue so far. Robin Latham. I want to know why the black truck zooming by on body cam. Hey, I need everybody to vote. I want to know why the black truck zooming by on body cam never got as much attention as the Elantra zooming by at the same time. What the heck? You can't tell me they're investigating black truck the way they did the Elantra. That's an excellent point. And Robin, you just got a brain. Don't they have just as much obligation to investigate that truck as they do the Elantra? It was right down Taylor Avenue. Leaving. And then the photography group called it out. Aren't they just as obligated? All right, let's see. We got some blue coming in. All three. Who said that? All three colors. Carly Miles. All three colors. Second half of blue. Lord have mercy. Shalom. The apocalypse. Shalom. Apocalypse in the house. All right. Now, let's see who's the majority here. We got blue, 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 orange, blue, orange. Okay, Mark B, you gotta pick one. Y'all pick one. You gotta pick one. You can't say all of them or two of them. One, you gotta pick one. I said that too, Bonbon, and then somebody was like, well, he said SUV, and the people with the camera, the tripod said truck. And so it's not the pickup truck, it was SUV. Well, Ina Harsh could have seen a black truck and said SUV. Or the people that said truck in the driveway could have saw SUV. It could be either or. But we saw a pickup truck on Taylor Avenue. So I want to say the people with the photography said truck, and Ina Harsh could have saw a truck and just called it SUV. Or he might have been seeing a totally different vehicle, for all we know. All right, we got a lot of psychic. Exactly how they focus on one myopic direction and on it, and law enforcement and lied for the rest. And the cops lied right off the gate. Right off the gate. Shout out the psychic right off the gate. They came out lying. So we didn't stand a chance as far as just trusting what they tell us. We didn't stand a chance. We didn't stand a chance. Apocalypse. They finished the deed and drove away at 3 a.m. The witching hour caught on cop camera at exactly 3:47. Apocalypse got a brain. It's sitting there right there in front of our two eyes. The guy said it. He said it. He said, we saw a girl running out of the house. Who could make up something like that? On the 23rd, that close to the murders, who gonna make that up? And the truck leaving. I mean, the truck arriving. How could they know to make that up? Leslie, that's me. Got a brain. Because somebody, just like somebody told the police to come to Banfield, somebody was drinking alcohol, somebody told them to set up that camera. This is getting really out. It's right in front of our two eyes. The man said the truck pulled in, a black truck. He said a truck pulled in, a girl was running. Then we saw the truck leaving. We saw 4 guys, young guys leaving at 3 o'clock. Right, Bonbon. Yes, and whoever ordered the hit could see that it was actually done. Right, Bonbon. Brain. I wouldn't doubt if the Banfield kids were a distraction. Of course they were. That's exactly what they were. All right? You can't, whoever orchestrated all of this, you can't tell them they're not a mastermind. You can't tell them that. You can't tell them that. Miss Potts, wonder if it's the same photography group the Sigma Boy does all the filming for. He has YouTube channel called Filmed by Ferris. Okay, we have to check that out, Miss Potts. Filmed by Ferris. Let me jot that down. All right. Leslie, that's me. Even a coincidence is a little far-fetched for that camera being set up there. Agreed. It is the truth. Who would know to do that? And on the exact day of the crime, come on now. And then he's out here tooting his horn, letting us know the camera was out there. That's insane. That's insane. Now let's see. What was our final point? Hold on a minute. Because I know okay, one thing I did want to talk about is sort of what we're doing right now. We were supposed to talk about who planted the knife sheath. So I'll put the question in the chat. Knowing what we know now, who do you think planted the knife sheath? Because if they're still claiming it, now you know you got a brain, Robin. You know you're doing good. You're doing very good. The apocalypse. The previous owner of the house opened a web-page business called Small World Software, and he's a convicted child rapist, and the business mailing address is still at King Road House. Yeah, Robin was telling me the same thing. Shout out to Apocalypse and Robin, because both of them gave this information. And it's very interesting. Very interesting. Robin was just giving me the same information a couple days back about the owner of the house. And guess what? He they were saying he donated the house to the university, but I guess there was a sexual spirit on the house, or something bad was gonna happen regardless. I think that's crazy that you would have a house with young girls living in it, and you operating that type of operation. Okay, I said green and orange as well. I always believe a cop could have been there only because of the comment, "It's okay, I am here to help you." Okay, basically, Bonbon, I don't believe any of Dylan's statement. So when I start trying to deduce what's going on with the case, I don't give credence to anything that they say she said. We don't even know if she really said that, if that was her testimony, or that's just a statement she signed. All right, we got one for Opie planted it. Opie planted it, alma mater, the nourishing mother. What? One of the young men at Banfield with the police had only a shirt on, and to me looked like he had quickly put it on. It didn't look like it fit him. No shirt on underneath. Vans on. Whitney Trigwell. Shout out to Whitney. All right, got us some information. The guys from the field. All right, Whitney is saying one of them hurried up and put on his shirt. Somebody else said that one of the guys looked like he had been hit in the head. Did anybody see that? Did anybody see that? One of the young men okay, Bonbon, you just blew my mind with that. Okay, some people do believe Dylan's statements. I just don't. I don't believe that Dylan was there to see anything beyond 4 o'clock. I don't believe Dylan saw anything except street lights when she was riding in that black truck leaving, if she was ever there at all during the murders. I don't believe a word that comes out of, I don't believe any statements that were made on her behalf or any that she made. I just don't believe anything about her account because I don't believe Dylan was there during the murders, and I don't believe the murders happened at 4 o'clock. I definitely don't. All right, David Stamler. I think that they knew this was going to happen, and when the time came, they ran and fled. I think that's what a black truck picked them up. You know, it could have. Shout out to David because we didn't think about that. The black truck could have been coming to pick up pick up somebody more than Dylan. You know, we didn't think about that. It could have. It was on Taylor Avenue. I don't believe anything they said Dylan said because I haven't heard Dylan say anything out of her mouth. I have not seen Dylan say a mumbling word. Only what they saying she said. Okay? And obviously she signed a witness statement. To be able to be considered a witness, she had to sign a paper giving a statement. The reason Bethany is not a victim is because she probably didn't give a signed statement. She probably chatted with him a bit, but she probably didn't issue a signed statement. Her attorney might have stopped all that. Kelly. Let's see what Kelly said. Hold on, this thing is moving a little fast. I'm well versed in trauma, and no one says frozen shock phase. Frozen, yes. Shock, yes. Frozen shock phase, no. Shout out to Kelly, because we know Dylan didn't see or say any of that. We already know that it's foolishness. All right? Because she said that the house was so quiet, that they claimed the house was so quiet at 4 o'clock, everybody could have been asleep. And the next thing you know, between 4 and 4:17, all 4 of these kids had to be killed. Only one person had to get the drop on 4 people, pass by her and leave out the back door. And then we don't know what door Bethany left out of and left it wide open. We don't know. But we know that according to Dylan's statement, somebody had to come in there and get the drop on all 4 of those kids at 4 o'clock. They had to all be awake. Whoever was running out of the house at 2 o'clock meant nothing. These people running and coming across the field at 3 o'clock meant nothing. 2 and 3 o'clock, all the stuff that happened meant nothing. We have to just fast forward to 4 o'clock, what they're telling us. What they're telling us. She wasn't there. No, those kids were all deceased by 4 o'clock. She didn't see anybody. She didn't see anybody because she wasn't there. And if she saw anybody, she knew the killers. If Dylan was in that house right before the murders, during the murders, or after, she knows the killers. She's acquainted with the killers. They know each other. That's the only explanation. It's the detective after the fact. Oh, look, we missed a giant clue. That's how I heard it. That's psychic. At the same time, if there was an officer that said, I'm here to help you, then why didn't he call for backup? Because if there was a policeman in there, he was killing people. And if there was a policeman in that house, anytime between 2 and 4, he was killing people. Simple as that. Who said that? Why did he call for backup? Leslie, that's me. Shout out to Leslie, that's me. If a policeman was in there, he would have definitely called for backup. And then his call would have went to Pullman dispatch, so everybody in Washington would have known what was going on. Because the 911 calls and the stuff on that police radio, they go to Pullman. They're routed to Pullman. If an officer was there, he was planting a sheath. All right? If the detective, after the fact, David Stamler, no. Bonbon, if an officer was there that said, I'm here to help you, he was there to help commit the murder. Shout out to Bonbon. That's what I said. Because Dylan's statement is just a part of the big farce that we were sold December the 30th. It's all a farce. Okay, you were frozen in shock, but you didn't call police. You didn't go in the room after the person left to check on them. You said you saw the perpetrator leave. So why couldn't you go and check on Xana if you just heard her crying? You just saw the perpetrator leave. So why can't you go around the corner and check on your friend? Why can't you go check on your friend? You just saw this guy leave. He just eased on, he just slithered on out the door. So why can't you go the opposite direction and go check on your friend? Because she wasn't there to see a killer leaving out of Xana and Ethan's room. That's why. Not at 4:17 she wasn't. No, not at 4:17 she wasn't. Leslie Vasquez. I don't believe Dylan really said that stuff on the affidavit. I don't either. I don't even believe those are Dylan's words. I believe that the police had a statement for her to sign, in my opinion, and they slid it across the table and she signed it. She probably didn't even read it. Here, this is going to keep you from being charged. And even now, she might still end up being charged. Dylan might still end up being charged. People don't realize that. All these people that saying we being hard on Dylan with victim shaming and all that crazy stuff. Let me tell you something. Dylan still, she's not out of the woods yet. Dylan might still be arrested. She might still be arrested. Jennifer S. They're referring to the other body cam footage of the guy at the grub truck who the cops also stopped that night because somebody was stealing a sign. Shout out to Jennifer S. And you're right. That's the person they told me. The guy, they said the guy with the sweater at the grub truck was at the band field on one of the cameras and that he had a gash or some kind of wound on his forehead. Now, that's what somebody told me. I don't know. Has anybody else heard that? This is what they told me. I get all kinds of reports. And, I mean, somebody told me that the guy in the grub truck with the sweater on, and I think he had on a baseball cap, but it was turned backwards. They told me he was at the field in the body cam, and he had a wound to his head. Did anybody else? Did somebody else? Anybody else heard that? Dylan and BK broke the law. Christine Robbins. Shout out to Christine. Okay. Why did Ellie assume the killer left because somebody stated they saw him walk towards the back? What makes them think the killer stayed changed clothes? The killer stayed, changed clothes, and hung out till morning, if the statement is to be believed. Okay, that's Jennifer. Okay, so they're assuming the killer left because somebody stated they saw him walk towards the back. Exactly. What I'm saying, Jennifer, is Dylan's statement doesn't even deserve commentary. because it's not true. I just don't believe anything that they're saying this girl said. Whether she's going along with them, that's what they call leading the witness. Okay, did you see the killer? Yeah, maybe I saw him. Yeah, I saw him. Did he have bushy eyebrows? Now that you mention it, he did have bushy eyebrows. Was he tall or athletic build, or was he fat, or was he probably athletically built? Well, now that you mention it, he probably was athletically built. Okay? Would you like a cigarette or a vape, ma'am? Here, sign this right here, and you can go home. You can go home right now. That's how it goes in the interrogation room. Not reporting a crime, tampering with crime scene, Christine, is absolutely right. Not reporting a crime, and then it's your roommates, it's your colleagues, and you telling us. I believe the police forced Dylan to make the statement because her room was on the second floor, so they could use her as a witness. They couldn't use Bethany. Bethany's on the first floor. It made sense that she got up and ran. And 9 times out of 10, Dylan got up and ran too. But she was on the second floor, so they could use her as a witness testimony or whatever. Yes, he was at the apartments right next door to that house. Yep, and then the sign could have been the white object. Yes, it is fact. Yes, that's true. It could have been the white object could have been the sign, but this was all white. I never seen a sign like that, a all white square. I don't think that was the sign, but it could be. Yes, TNT posted body cam footage, brown sweater at Grub Truck, not Banfield. All right, that was Jennifer. Yeah, somebody told me the guy in the brown sweater was at the Grub Truck and also at Banfield. But I haven't seen this much. I have not seen it. Okay? Amy D, yes he would. Above his eyebrows, saw the video. I'm not sure. Oh, yes, he's wounded above his eyebrow. You saw the, shout out to Amy D. Can we get some reference on that? I would like to see that. I would like to see that with the wound above his eyebrow, because somebody did tell me that. Somebody did tell me that. Okay, and we know the time of the body cam was what? 3 o'clock. Only thing happening at 4 o'clock is a bunch of lying, scheming, mocking. That's all was going on at 4 o'clock. A bunch of covering up, a bunch of jumping on social media and cell phones talking about it. All right, let's see what we got here. Christine Robbins. Yes, he told cops it was from 3 weeks prior, but it was fresh and red. That sweater was ugly. Also, Chief had a lot of markings on his face on the left side in early press. Okay, I showed that in my community page. I have a picture of that, of the Chief. If I didn't delete it, it's there. I did post that. Leslie, that's me, Boise. Annie Ruler. If it's in PJ, if they were in their PJs, were they dressed afterwards? We need to remember criminals do not always think everything out. Like stab wounds, matching clothes. That's true. Shout out to Annie Ruler. That's true. That's true too. Okay, friends like that, they don't need enemies. Got that right. No doubt about it. Canine dogs out there mourning by the crosswalk. All right, expound on that one, Carly, so we'll know exactly where we're going with that part of the conversation. 332 at Identity Apartments. They keep calling his sweater ugly. 4 a.m. was cleaning up crew time, in my opinion. That's right, Miss Potts. You're right. Another shout out for Miss Potts because that's all it was at 4 o'clock. That's all was going on at 4 o'clock was clean up, planting evidence, lying, calling each other with a big buzz going on because somebody's dead. And it's just mind-blowing news. And so everybody's calling each other. Everybody's eyes are wide open, looking crazy. By 4 o'clock, this is what it's looking like. There's nowhere in the world Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, or Ethan were alive at 4 o'clock. And I have several videos I made on that. I'm not just speculating because I just like the way that sounds. All the research I've done points to the fact that those murders were committed well before 4 a.m. The white car is just some foolishness. Probably somebody dealing dope, selling dope. That's my explanation. Because there's not that much door dashing in the world. Those people weren't ordering a lot of food that time of night. They didn't have a lot of places to choose from to order food that time of night. That white car or whatever cars, whatever color it is that they have on camera, if they have a car on camera doing all that, it was probably somebody selling dope. A dope dealer would go in and out the neighborhood like that. And they would have to go to different parts of the same neighborhood. Because Moscow don't have a lot of restaurants that's open that time of night for you to order food. A car running back and forth like that, if it was a DoorDash driver, he had a lot of business. Everybody was at the grub truck. Nobody was ordering ordering DoorDash. You have to pay to order food. Who had money for DoorDash? Who had money for DoorDash when there's a grub truck right there? You don't have to pay delivery fee. Who had money for DoorDash? I don't think Xana was rolling like that. And if that's the case, why didn't we see a kitchen full of restaurant bags? Why is that the only bag we saw was the Jack in the Box? If everybody in the house is fully acquainted with ordering DoorDash and Uber Eats, why didn't we see bags all over the kitchen from different restaurants? Why is the only restaurant bag we saw propped up with Xana's name written on it in purple? Why didn't we see a whole gang of restaurant bags? It was the weekend. They had a football game. It was the weekend. Why the only restaurant bag we saw is the one with Xana name handwritten on it, on the bag, on a label? I mean, come on. The cops asked him about the bruise above his eyebrow, and his answer was sketchy. Yes, we heard that. That's true. I've heard that again. All right. One above his eyebrow is with the kid that stole the sign, the street sign. The one with the wound is the guy in the ugly sweater. Got it. Now it makes sense. Got it. Jesse Branch. All right, let me find the post again. I thought I saw Jabez. Jabez in the house. Shout out to JB's. I like to call him Jabez. All right. Now, I was looking for Jesse's post. Give me just a minute. Maybe I can still find it. Okay, so I don't know, Jess. You might have to post it again. All right. That's not, I see not on his head, but I saw another one of yours I wanted to read and I can't find it. Oh, the guy in the sweater asked by police how he got the knot on his head. He's swearing it happened couple of weeks ago. I think he was lying. He could have got that night at King Road House. All right. Shout out to Jesse. A lot of people are pointing him out now because everything happened before 3:30. By 3:30, everything was done. If you ask me, by 3:30, everything was over with and done with. If you ask me. If you ask me. So I don't believe anybody was alive after 3:30. I don't believe anybody was in the house except the victims at 3:30. Unless somebody was in there planting something, unless it was the young guys that were running in the background. I mean, I don't believe there was anybody else in there for a while. I believe they did it and left, and for a while nobody was in that house. Those kids were in there bleeding out with not so much as no one to call for help or have enough dignity to go in there and cover them up with a sheet or something. It's just disgusting, really. It's sickening. And whoever actually murdered these kids, I'm sure we got enough people praying for justice to where we'll get to see the evil be cut off this time. Because just the thought of going in there and taking those kids' lives like that in this disgusting, just low down, cowardly manner. They were kids and you couldn't take them without a knife, without knives, machetes. God only knows what all was up in there. You had to do all of that. And it's just kids. You had to do all of that. You know? What'd you get out of gutting out some kids, man? It's just really, unfathomable that somebody could do this to somebody's kids. Jennifer S. People assuming because a sheath was found that wounds must match a knife that would fit that sheath. Not necessarily. Okay, Jennifer, you got a brain. Because I don't care what they left there. To me, the knife sheath was left there to control the narrative. That's the only reason that knife sheath is there. To control this silly, untruthful narrative that they're building up for the public. That's the only reason. Because just because there's a sheath there doesn't mean the weapon was a K-bar knife. It does not. One Maiden Nut. Hard truth, everyone on label made it. Shout out to One Maiden Nut. Yep, you did make it. Thank you. So good to have you. Thank you for taking the time to stop by and hang out with us. All right. Shout out to One Maiden Nut. JB's. LOL, I've always wondered who wrote Xana on that label. Shout out to JB's again. Because that's just some more foolishness. We have to think logically. As adults, we can't ignore what's in the back of our mind screaming. That's some foolishness. It's 3:00 in the morning. Somebody writing somebody's name on a label. You lucky if you even get your food at 3:00 in the morning. They're not going to care about your name on a bag at 3:00 in the morning. You're lucky if they actually bring you your DoorDash food. Because these drivers are allowed to steal your food 2 or 3 times before they even get punished or suspended for a little while. Did you know a DoorDash driver can run off with your food 2 or 3 times and lie and say they tried to deliver it and still just keep on driving before really they get a tap on the wrist? You lucky if you even get your food from DoorDash 3 o'clock in the morning in an area like that. I'm just saying. And then they're going to take the time to put a nice label that didn't even come with the DoorDash supplies. That DoorDash gives every restaurant the labels and stuff, the look that they supposed to have for each package. And they run with it. You don't who had a white label from Office Depot at 3 o'clock in the morning? Who? Who had an Office Depot mailing label and a purple pen 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning? Who? Come on now. We have to use our common sense. That bag has been moved around the kitchen. When people were looking through the window, you could see people were in the windows and they were taking pictures. And at that time, you could see in there. And that bag had been moved around. Nobody took it for evidence or dusted it for prints. Okay. Sorry for your friend, Ann. What happened? I'm sorry for your friend too, Ann. I'm not sure why, but I'm sorry. Do you think we can find out about the chief side of his face wounds, Christine? He claimed he was out of town. They claimed he was out of town when everything jumped off and that he had to come to Moscow, go home and put on his uniform and then come to the scene. This is per Howard Bloom. Howard Bloom said that the chief was out of town. But he did have marks in his face now. And then somebody said, well, hard truth, Chief Fry was in tears when he was talking about the murders, when he had to tell everybody what happened. I don't think he could do it. Chief Fry was in tears. This man was so broken. So after she said that, I was like, oh, maybe Chief Fry didn't do it. She had me convinced. She had me feeling so bad for even posting the picture. All right. We got to figure this case out. We got lots of brains here. You need to give us homework, hard truth. I sure do. As a matter of fact, let me cook some up. All right, Joanne in the house. What's up, Joanne? Shout out to Joanne. I believe it was a machete, a golf club, and possibly an axe. Shout out to Christine, because I believe it was a machete also. I believe it was a machete also. I don't believe it was a K-bar knife. I believe it was something much larger and more menacing. Especially to be able to just go in and do ether like that. I believe even with a K-bar knife, it wouldn't have just been so easy to get the drop on ether like that. With a machete, he didn't stand a chance. But a K-bar knife, you know, it just depends on who was the quickest. Agape love. When a crime like this has a level of hush-hush, this one does. It says people are scared to say anything. Communities all have a pecking order and a frame of thought and values. Shout out to Agape Love. That was well said. That's true. Some people are scared to say something, and some people can't say anything because they're involved. All right? The Greek societies have Greek gods. Shout out to Elwing. That's right. People have their own gods. And so our God, my God said, thou shalt not kill. But depending on the day of the week and depending on what God they got walking around in their pocket, maybe their God doesn't say that. You know? David Stamler, her and Bethany, they both should be, they knew this. They bailed because they knew if they were there, they would have been 5 and 6. Shout out to David. Matter of fact, I'm going to give you a brain for that. Because it's just common sense that those girls knew to get the blazers on. And it might even been, whether they knew the killers or not, even if they knew them. You don't want to be a part of that because you're a witness. Who wants to be a witness? Who in their right mind wants to be a witness? Leslie, that's me. The Jack in the Box bag was behind the sink faucet, which was out of place for just getting it. That's what I said. Shout out to Leslie. You know, that bag should have been in the room with its owner. But it wasn't, was it? And then that same bag was moved somewhere else behind the plant. It was moved around the kitchen. I've got it in different places around the kitchen. I do. In my photo collection, I do. So that bag was somewhere everywhere in the kitchen. It's looking like law enforcement is involved. That's what it's looking like. The grub truck picks up a lot of audio. Feds have programs that can separate each voice to hear what was being said. That's true. Elwayne gets it. No thanks for T-Rail. Elwayne gets it. I believe the organ that is missing from Kaylee is in Payne's slaughter truck. Okay, what you missing organ? All right, we need receipts on that. Evidently, this was done by professionals, so they knew evidence would not be left behind that would convict them, right? And that gives us, David, the idea that either it was professionals or it was somebody that hunts. Somebody that hunts could go in and do this to 4 people with bladed weapons. Somebody that hunts could do it. And then they might have just done it quick and got on up out of there. Wasn't no evidence to leave, you know, except for maybe some dripping blood. And if they could spend an extra 10 or 15 minutes in the house, they could clean that off. It doesn't have to take long. But I believe they were in there from 2 to 3 or 2 to 2:50. Because if the truck was driving by at 3 o'clock, they had to pile in there, get the truck started, and come around the corner. So if the truck is on camera at 3 o'clock, that means they probably pulled out and left the house at about 2:55, 2:56, 2:57. By 2:57, they piling in the truck. The body camera was off just a little bit because he was, as a matter of fact, the body cam started at about 2:53. So, I mean, we're supposed to have everything on camera at 2:53. Y'all, you better let that timeline sink in. I know a lot of people are secretly still believing that 4 o'clock, 404, 417, 412 foolishness in the PCA. I know some people that still believe that. It's some people in here right now that still believe the PCA said at 404 a car did this and was in the house and left at 420 at a high rate of speed, and they showed us a picture of the car, a stock photo of a white car, and so that's what happened. It's some people that still believe that. And so you have to come to the truth for yourself. Hey, if that's how you feel, fine. But the facts contradict that 100%. 100%. The only thing Mr. G said was that the wounds were different. He never stated an organ was removed. The coroner allegedly said the wound damaged her liver. Jennifer S. Okay, I haven't heard about it either. I haven't heard about a missing organ either. I pray that's not involved. Yes, because it said that Kaylee was almost decapitated. So what does that tell you? The person or the people that did this, they were in there for a minute. Okay, they didn't just come in there at about 4:07 or 4:08, 4:09. I'm not sure. You have to watch my white Elantra video, because hey, they could only have gotten started at about 4:09 according to the PCA version. They couldn't have got in there and got started before 4:08 or 4:09 according to the PCA. And then to be leaving out of there by 4:17, that's 8 minutes. How do you almost decapitate somebody? Kaylee was kind of thick too. She wasn't Slim Jim. How do you almost decapitate somebody like that? In 8 minutes, you got to do that, and then you still got 3 other people. Come on, let's stop it. I'm getting ready to give y'all's homework. Okay? I don't want to get riled up on stuff that I've already proven. We got a lot of new people here, and I really appreciate everybody. If you just subscribed in the past week or two, welcome. And thank you for joining our community. Okay, you're welcome. All of these fresh ideas and supporting evidence for the ideas we already had, welcome. All right, but you should go back and look at some of the older videos when you have some extra time, so you can pretty much see what we've been talking about up until when I really started making these lives. Because at the beginning, I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have the equipment to do it, and I didn't have a clue. So all we had was videos for a long time. So I'm just asking those, if you just subscribed in the past week or two, please, when you have time, the videos aren't that long. Just read a few comments, look at a few videos, and see kind of some of the stuff we've already discussed. And because we've eliminated some things as being true, and we've eliminated some things as not being false, over these months. We may not have come to definitely who is the killer and who's not, but we have been able to eliminate some things that just haven't been proven or just plumb don't make sense according to the evidence. All right, so that way we'll be kind of all on the same page a little bit as far as what we've already said. And that way we don't have to go back and repeat something that we've already come to a consensus on, or said, well, it could be this or could be that. All right, enough ranting. I'm going to give you guys your homework, and after which time I'm going to have to retire, because it is going on 11 o'clock. Yeah, I probably overrun my time, but that's all right. Give me a minute to take this down, because your homework is going to have to do with Ryan Hubschmidt, or Hubschmidt. I think that's his name. All right. This is your homework, because we talked about a military theme. Because people keep popping up in this story, in this timeline that we've been given. And the more time elapsed, the more the military is like standing out as a team. All right? And for those of you that are coming in late, we already been through 3 military men. We got Ryan, the firefighter, veteran from the Air Force, okay, being followed on Twitter by Kohberger. Followed. And then when JLR asked him about it, why is he following you? The guy was kind of, hesitant to even admit that he was following him, and that was cool, or that he even knew he was following him. He felt, his response was a little uncomfortable, is what I'm trying to say. And so then we have Opie. Opie is Afghanistan vet, and now he's lead detective. So we have that hero theme again. We got the super cop and we got the super firefighter. And then we have Brent Kopaka, also Afghanistan vet. All right? We can't seem to find out what he did for a living at his time of death, but we know he was a vet. So we got 3 veterans here associated with Brian Kohberger. And one of them is, 2 of them is not even necessarily associated by the crime. It's been said that Brent Kopaka lived in Pennsylvania and that he and Brian knew each other before Washington. And then when he's following this guy, Stryker. So we got 3 military men here. And so here's your homework. Okay? I'm going to put it in the chat. And please don't start answering it here. We're saving our responses for the next live. Okay? So once I put the homework question in the chat, please don't start typing what you think the answer is, because that would spoil it. Okay. Okay, I'm putting it in the chat. Give me a second. Okay. All right, I got my question. I got your homework question here. Now, you're going to have to answer this the next time we have a live. Here is the homework question. I should have put homework question. Let me repost that and put homework question. You might, if you came in late, you might have to look at the beginning of this live so you'll know what we're talking about. All right, I'm going to put my email here, and I'm also, if any information you have that you want to share with me, please send it to my email, because I get a lot of helpful information from you all, the ones that do use it. Okay, my email is always in the community page. Okay, and also I'm going to put my donation information here in the chat quickly. Okay, you're not obligated to do any giving. All right, it's not that. But anyone that would like to donate to the channel would be great. Okay, it's probably the best benefit that we would get from the donations is that I would be able to probably do this more often, because right now it's like a fight for time. So the goal would be to maybe have the live probably maybe like 3 times a week, 3 or 4 times a week. That would be the goal for like the next 30 or 40 days, I guess. So I'm going to try to find my link for my donations and put it up here so that anybody that would like to donate can. You can donate through Cash App, or PayPal. And I'm looking for it right now. Any information that you have pertaining to the case, especially hot off the press, be sure to email me. And it might take me maybe 24 hours to get to my email, but I'll get to it. I promise you I'll get to it. It may take a day or two. Okay, I found it. Okay, so I'm going to put all right. There's my donation information. Thank you so much to those who have already donated. Okay, I really appreciate everybody, every dollar, every dime. I appreciate it. And everything eventually is going to be reinvested into the channel so that we can keep getting bigger and better and more capabilities. And we made 1,000 subscribers, so soon we'll be able to do more. And I'm working on a merch store for Hard Truth merch. Okay, and so I want to say thank you to everyone for coming out. Thank you so much for always coming to the live. Some of you have been with me from the beginning. Some of you are newcomers, but you've had some very interesting things to say. So I think our community is the best. And so I want to give you a great big thank you for surpassing the 1,000 subscriber mark. We surpassed it. Okay? Got a lot of big thinkers in here. And so I believe this is just beginning. You know, our discussion group we're going to take over. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take over. We gotta stick together on this case now. We can't keep going off on tangents where we don't have evidence. All right? So I want to say thank you to everyone for coming out. Thank you for liking the live and any other things that you've watched. Thank you so much. All right. God bless each and every one of you. All right. For those prayer warriors, people that have a prayer closet like I do, God bless you. All right. Thanks to you. All right. Thanks to you, Mark. God bless you. I'm gonna leave this chat open for 10 minutes to give everybody a chance to say goodbye to each other or exchange emails or whatever you guys do. And we're gonna talk, I guess, back at the community. All right, back at the community page, and I'll have some content out for you the weekend. Much love.